Today, I am stitching in a very simple leather handle, and this is going to be for the trunk course, so this will be going on this particular mini trunk. Let's move you guys around a little bit more so you can kind of see what's going on. So just a simple saddle stitch, no cast, straight stitch on the rear. I've actually put a little groove in the rear because it's a flat handle, it's not shaped, so a little groove, wet it, and then just burnish it with the tip of a bone folder, and you get a nice little channel for the stitching to lay in, because of course that's where the hand goes. So I tried lots of different kinds of handles on this using, prototypes that I've kept and accumulated over the years, and I kind of settled on something a little bit more simple, mainly because it's a highly complex handle seems to just distract a little bit from the overall design of the trunk. I find just so a little simple strap handle is all we really need. Of course, anybody doing this project, following along on the course, can add whatever handle they want. The doctor's bag handle, English briefcase handle, that kind of thing. Hey guys, can I just double check? I did try going live a moment ago, and I forgot to turn on my little microphone. So I just want to double check the sound is okay, if that's all right, if you wouldn't mind letting me know. Typical me, typical me. It's always something, huh? So move this up. Audio is okay now. Sound is good. Excellent. Thank you very much for letting me know. And I appreciate you guys letting me know on the previous live, which I scrapped. So just a little 532 fil chinois, which I think is like 0.55 millimeters. I can't remember. With minimal tension. Oh, no, 0.5. Yeah, 0.5. So today is Sunday. Instead of taking the day off, which would have been nice, I thought I'd come in and finish off the handle. This should take, maybe 2 hours to make. Very simple. And the way I'm going to finish this is just a very simple burnish. And I might even put a secondary crease line on the inside. I think that looks quite effective on handles. And I'll probably wax the edges, put a little molten wax in there just to seal it up. I reckon it should get a nice patina over the years as well, with some use. But I kind of like that London tan look because it's very similar to, like just waxed vegetable tan leather, russet, just nothing added to it, no dye, of what it would look like after about 6 months to a year of use. It kind of has that already, which I think looks quite nice. Thank you for doing it on a Sunday, says Taco Bell. Taco Bell. I was thinking, how did you get the handle Taco Bell? I threw in a little cheeky A. Sound is good. Finally caught a live video, says Druska. I'm glad you could catch me. I guess more people are off on a Sunday. So what I'm going to attempt to do is when I get to the end, instead of kind of, actually, you know what? Because I've backstitched there, I should, yeah, I should probably stop and backstitch to here as well. What I was going to do is transfer it to the other side and then carry on stitching. But on second thoughts, you won't have a backstitch, and if you do, you won't be on the very end, so you won't be able to transfer it over. Good point, good point. Kind of thinking as I'm doing this. I'm almost at the end, so what I'll do is I'll take it out and show you guys. I wonder if I could backstitch it and then manipulate the needles so that I could get it back into the end hole and then transfer the thread to the other side. You know what? Let's give it a go. It's the worst that could happen. So we'll see how it goes. So what I'll try and do is maybe backstitch with one needle, so at least one of the needles stays at the very end. I saw the course was released. Will the handle be in part 4 since you're doing it right now? Yes. But I'm not actually filming it. And what I'm going to give people is the option of adding it. So this handle won't be taught. Otherwise, the course is going to keep going on for 6, 7 videos, etc. And it's going to take too long. So what people could do, they can choose one of the handles from the course. And there's been quite a few handles in the course now. Got the doctor's bag handle, the Bloomsbury attaché case handle, the English briefcase handle, folio case handle. So there's a few. This is just a simple strap. It's an advanced course, so most people that will be taking on a project of this kind of magnitude will find it very easy to make this. So I'm going to try and see if I can do a back stitch and keep the threads on the end so that I can transfer it to the other side. I reckon I can. So, simple strap handle. That's it, literally. Bending in the middle there because of the jaws. So that's it. Okay, lined on the inside, so there's a little bit of a skive overlap at the end there. And you can see the rear stitches are in a tiny little groove that I've put in there. So what I'm going to do now is just attempt to put this on the other side. Do you think the trunk idea would work as a humidor, lining the inside with Spanish cedar? Yes, I do. I mean, you could, I don't know, maybe not Spanish cedar, it's difficult to get hold of, but you could literally buy cedar, as long as you're not making it too big, because if you use solid wood rather than plywood, you know, keeping it in a humid environment, it could warp potentially. So you could make it out of pure cedar and then not line the inside. If you can get hold of Spanish cedar in this quantity, then yeah, that's great. But yeah, you could line it. You could buy veneer and then veneer the inside plywood before you put it all together. Yeah, you probably just put a thin veneer over the top of it. But yeah, probably what I would do is cut a little hole in there and have a dial. What's the humidity anemometer, something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, that measures humidity. Or potentially what you could do is maybe come in an inch or two and cut out a piece. Okay, so remove a rectangle from the center and then put glass on the inside. And then you could see through to a humidity dial indicator. Humidistat? I don't know. I can't remember. Alexa, what do you call a device that measures humidity?
Here's something I found on the web. According to reference.com, the instrument used to measure humidity is known as a hygrometer.
Hygrometer. Yes. Good old Alexa. Helping out us simple folk. All right. Can we transfer? This is a little fiddly. We are tied around a little bit. Sorry, this must be incredibly boring for you guys, this bit. Just trying to figure out how I'm going to get this across and then get that down into there. Okay, so I've put through the bottom one to the other side now. And now this one, I'm going to try and get this through to the other side. That's going quite nicely. Excellent. Okay, so that's worked. So now the thread is on the opposite unstitched side, so now I can just carry on. So that certainly saved some time, and I managed to do a back stitch on there, so that worked. The way I did it was just to do the back stitch with one needle, the front side needle. So that's the front, where we're stitching at the moment. Hygrometer, hygrometer, hygrometer. Is everyone suddenly with the ability to Google? Do you have an online store? How much would something like this cost? I don't have a store that sells leather goods. What I do with the courses is I put in links to suppliers so people can go and buy, you know, the leather, the wood, the hardware, and all the other things that go with it, and some of the specialist tools as well. I also link those. Yeah, I've often thought about having a physical store that could sell, you know, parts and things for people, but I wouldn't be able to sell absolutely everything. There's just too many, you know, different types of leathers and materials and tools and things like that. I'd have to completely change my business to a leather supply company. All right. So yeah, this is a quick and easy handle. Should take about 2 hours. Or if you're new, maybe 4 hours. It's the stitching that takes a little bit longer. Go about 26 centimeters of stitching. In the States, we've got Tandy Leather, who sells a lot of leather kits, makes it easy for folks to try it out. Do you have a similar brand over there? We also have Tandy Leather over here, I believe. I think there's one or two stores. There was one in, I think it was in Manchester or something, but it closed down. I don't think it did very well. But most of the stores here are online, and you can get Tandy stuff from various companies too. But I don't think Tandy is particularly popular in the UK overall. But yeah, it's pretty handy. I just recently started taking a leather class at Tandy for vets. Veterans, yeah. We're doing a briefcase currently. Oh, that's pretty cool. Tell you what Tandy sells that's pretty good for that kind of thing is the Al Stolman books. They're actually pretty good. There's ones for bags and cases. So it's a Western style, so, you know, if that's your thing, that's great. However, there's a lot of construction stuff that's very useful in there too. Making handles and all sorts of obscure stuff that you don't really get books about. They're pretty cool to read. I think you can get them as a digital download as well. Oh God, I keep forgetting. I really do need to get a new little stitching pony. This one gets caught constantly. It's not a high priority on my list of things to do. I did a thistle carving on the front flap. Hard to find anything not Western. Yeah, well, Western style leatherwork is very popular, to be fair. Oh my God, but caught on both sides. It's very popular, so it's you know, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to find other styles. I started out on Western style leatherwork. I think it's good to try a little bit of everything to see what you like and see where your skills lie and what, most importantly, what you enjoy doing. It was fun. No, I only tried it for a little bit. I wasn't particularly great at the whole tooling thing, but it was enjoyable to do. But you know, it's in trying these things that you end up finding your style and finding your preferred niche. For me, I just enjoyed working with beautiful leathers where the leather does the talking rather than the craftsman in that sense. You know, it's like, what's that famous chef, Marco Pierre White? He said that the only job of the chef is to showcase the flavors and the beauty of Mother Nature from fresh local produce and that kind of thing, rather than try and make your skills the star of the show. And I kind of carried on that thought process with leather as much as I can. I try and make the leathers that I choose, you know, the center of attention. as much as I can, you know. But you know what? It's Western style leatherwork with tooling is just as much art, really, isn't it? So it's just a different concept, a different thought process, different ethos. It's just more important that you find what you really enjoy doing, and to find what you enjoy doing, you need to try a few different styles, maybe a European style, maybe Western style. Sunday sip and stitch. Robert Gibbs, hi Phil, hello. Being Sunday, do you have one of your scotches out of shot? I don't. No, I used to do Q&As, didn't I? And sometimes I'd throw in a whiskey. I do have another bottle of Dalwhinnie 15, which is probably one of my favorites overall. Went to their distillery once. It's really, really good. Meant to be the highest distillery in Scotland and one of the coldest. People go on about how cold it is there because of where it is in the mountains. And the day I went, it was like 42 degrees Celsius, which is a lot in Fahrenheit. Yeah, so everyone spent the whole day going, oh my goodness, it's never been this hot before. All right, that's the end, so you can put the all down now. David Bowie describes himself not as an artist, but as a tasteful thief. Interesting, as in stealing kind of ideas and lyrics and that kind of thing. You know, taking inspiration more than anything else. Which is a bit like, was it Picasso said? Good artists imitate, but great artists steal, or something like that. I can't remember what it was. So, good artists copy, great artists steal. Okay. Beautiful work, sir. Now I have to go work on mine. Good. Well, have fun. How long do you think it takes to get good with using an awl? It really depends. I mean, if you're dedicated to doing it and you mindfully practice it, it's probably not very long. If you just use it when, you know, a situation arises where you have to use it, you know, which is few and far between, maybe that could take you a very long time to get good. But if you practice, you know, as in you actually set aside time to, you know, today I am going to stitch a single piece of leather for no particular reason other than to practice using the awl, then you can get good a lot quicker, I think. Okay, piece of wood. Where are we? There it is on the floor. I must have knocked that off. My wooden yoga block. How do you determine a standard of hourly wage for your goods aside from the cost of materials, thread, dyes, glue, oil, hardware? How do you put an hourly rate on projects? Typically you don't. you know, if let's just say I was brand new, all right? I've done leatherwork for 3 months, and I follow this online course, how to make a leather trunk, and I do it, and it takes me 120 hours. Okay, let's just say, and it comes out at 6.5 out of 10 skill level wise at the end of it, the finish. Okay, so 120 hours, but maybe 5 years down the line, I do the same thing. It takes me only 60 hours. See how it doesn't really make sense, because I'm going to be more skilled and I have 5 years of experience. So this, instead of being a 6.5 out of 10, maybe an 8.5 out of 10, you know, finish wise. So it takes you less time because you're getting better at the same time. So what you're going to do, start charging less, and then you've got to figure out, you know, how much less time it takes you and how much more you have to charge for. Figure out what you want. Okay, so figure out, start way further back. How much does it cost to live in your house? Okay, I'm talking rent, I'm talking utilities, your car, your food, insurance. How many holidays do you take a year? You got to work out how much it costs to be you, first of all. And then you got to take that number and go, okay, but I want more than that so that I can do this. I don't know, take more holidays, buy more cool stuff, get a better car, bigger house, whatever. So figure out how much you want. Okay, so not how much you need, which is your base level, how much you want. Then how much work can you produce per year? Okay, what kind of orders are you getting? What are you selling the most of? And then you start figuring out how much money you need per piece on an average. And it takes experience to do this. And I'd advise keeping a regular day job until you can figure out all the nuts and bolts of how to run the business successfully. But going, oh, this costs so much to build, and I did it, it took me this amount of hours, therefore I'm going to charge. People that do that tend to charge desperately low prices and underprice themselves, which is no good to you and no good to potential customers if you stop producing, because you just can't afford to do it anymore because you're not being paid enough. So, you know, start with the end in mind. How much do you actually want from your leather work? How much do you want to get? How much can you produce? What kind of stuff are you producing? And then work back from that, rather than the nuts and bolts and that kind of thing. You know, if you had a corner shop somewhere and you were selling lamps and light bulbs and things like that, how much does it cost wholesale? How much can you sell? How often are you selling? How much is rent? How much is this? How much is that? Yeah, that kind of makes sense. How much are other people charging? But when it comes to something like this, start with how much you actually want to get. Hello there, Phil and all. Okay, so what am I going to do now? You know what? I want to try something. I want to try a secondary crease. I'm going to do a cold crease first of all. I actually like doing a cold crease, as in there's no heat, just to get a groove going. And then when you add heat, the tool just falls into the shallow groove that you've put in there, and you're less likely to mess up your project, which is always good. It's always a bonus. Just have a little bit more visual interest. All right, heat. We need fire. Give me some fire. Thank you. You're very welcome. Good afternoon from Portugal. It's still afternoon in Portugal. It's quarter to 8, which is a very English expression, which means 7:45. Yeah, I've said to friends from overseas before, I'll see you at 7:30. I'm thinking 7:30 is 3.5. Is that 3:30? No, it just means 7:30. Ooh, it's way too hot. Let it equalize for a second. The last thing I want to do is burn my handle. Let's start from this end. I'm going to get a little bit more heat in that. Is that lighter an alcohol-based one? No, this would be butane with a little piezoelectric ignition. Once you get these going, they're okay, but the because they're touching at the top and touching on the screw, this side is quite cool. By comparison, it starts drawing the heat very quickly. So on 1 second, it's so hot it's almost burning, and then almost immediately afterwards, it needs heating up again. And I'm screwing this crease. I was referring to the torch. There's also butane. This is a Go System butane propane mix. I haven't seen an alcohol torch putting out that kind of power before. I do have so I'm just doing the inside crease here now. I do have an alcohol burner. Of course, it takes a bit longer to heat up. I think it's an Italian shoemaker's alcohol burner. It's pretty good. Just evaporates pretty quick if you don't use it. So just sharpening my edging tool here, my edge beveler. So just round the edges, and then I'm going to give it a bit more of a sand because we just got a touch of glue. Just kind of going backwards and forwards here, mainly because it adds a little bit more control as I'm going around, because I'm going around a curved object here. And on the inside, I thought you had to use an alcohol one to prevent dirtying the creaser. Butane or propane torch is not going to add any blackening. This is the kind of creaser I use. There's some gunk on the end of it. It's probably some leather finish or something like that, but I don't have any blackening on my tools. I think you would get soot or a carbon buildup if you were using like a candle or something. Just doing the inside here, bevel the edges. One thing I didn't do is tuck in my threads. I've just realized that. So we want to tuck those threads in, and we'll apply a little bit of white glue. And this just stops it from pulling out. There we go. Okay, so you can kind of see the secondary crease line on the inside, just very basic. So I've still got a little bit of glue on the edges here. So probably going to use a little toconol on this. And then when that's dry, finish off with some wax, melt some wax in there, maybe a little beeswax. Being careful not to scratch the hardware that's already in there, because that's sewn in, it's stitched in. Easy to do. Oops. Adam says, "Hi Phil, glad I've made another live." Oh, good to see you. Glad to have you here. There's always room for one more. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair. Quite a bit of glue on that one. So going one direction into the edge here. Same on the other side. Sometimes when you've got to build up a fluff, what you can do is just get rid of it. Okay. Toconol. Oh, it's already out. It's already out. Same here, saw the notification, but I finished watching the video. Watched the video I was on. Pipe and slippers at the ready. Yes. Is that a nail file? You know what I think it is. I got a few of them from Wooter Leather. But probably. Cheeky buggers. Just labeled a nail file. Okay. Yep, I can confirm it works. All right, little toconol. We have this one. It's covered in some kind of adhesive, so let's get another one of these little sponges. Sometimes I like to dilute toconol. Let's get that initial layer on. First one, just a little shaping going on, really. Where are we? Thanks for the live. Where do you order your metal tidbits like clasp and nails and rivets? La Malencoin. I didn't just make mouth noises at you. That's a place. La Malencoin is the trunk in the corner, and it's from France. They have an Instagram account as well. It's run by JP, a good friend, and he's a trunk restorer. So he has a lot of trunk parts and new old stock locks and rivets and things like that. Nice guy. But I don't know where you are in the world or how much it will cost you to have it all sent over. They look gorgeous. Nice brass. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, no worries. I can't type law. I didn't realize the video was live until I clicked on it. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. No worries. Okay, where's my canvas? Where's my canvas? So I like to do, when I'm using some kind of burnishing compound, I like to use lots of little thin layers and attack it from different angles. If I want to get a really nice precision shiny edge, then what I will do is I'll wait for this to fully dry and then take a very, very fine grit sandpaper and just go over that again to level that edge and then repolish. Which I'll probably stop here actually and then do that. Get a nicer edge. Okay, got a reasonable edge on there. I don't know if you can see that. Got a reasonable shine. And once this is fully dry, I'll probably take some, what's this? 1500 grit, something like that, and then just go over the edges. I will do it now, actually. It feels dry on the edge. It's probably because I'm using so many thin layers. Normally I'd let it dry for a bit longer, but being as we're live. What I've been using this for. All right, let's just add a little bit more now. And then I'll let this dry thoroughly, and then we can add our wax. And what the wax will do is give us our final polish. But I like to get as much as I can, a good burnish, a nice good smoothing. Just with the burnishing compound. So that the wax doesn't have to do too much of the work, if you know what I mean. If you build up too many layers of wax, then unfortunately, it can start cracking, especially on handles or anything, any kind of moving parts. Let's get those top ends in. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. Otherwise, we'll keep going, keep going, keep going, and then wax it a little bit later. So here we are with the trunk. And this is what it will look like over the top. Okay, so very, very simple handle, nothing overly complex. If it's too complicated and too overt, then I feel that it takes away a little bit from the trunk itself. So just something that's a bit more, I guess you could say, utilitarian. And it can also slide. That's the idea of it on this one. So if I rotate these D-rings, they're waxed. It can actually slide out of the way completely, one way or the other. So I'll be attaching them a little bit later on. Adam says, can you remind me of the product name of the plastic sheet bench top for cutting leather on? Oh, this. Acetal. A-C-E-T-A-L. Acetal. Is that twisted? Yeah, it's a little twisted. There we go. I've seen the fine sanding technique used to get what they call glass edges on thicker wallets. They do like 6 to 9 times and it comes out very shiny. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, unless you're adding a synthetic product on your edges, and I know you can't see this on Instagram, is that these kind of like candy edges or glass edges, as some people call them, can take, 5 hours to do, but it won't last 5 hours in the real world, if you know what I mean. Okay, so unless you've got some kind of synthetic compound inside the leather fibers or on top of it, some kind of polyurethane layer that's like glass-like, it just doesn't last. As soon as you can get the most perfectly burnished edge, as soon as you twist it slightly, it starts cracking. The leather fibers start moving apart and they become a matte finish. So the reality is these perfectly glass finishes, they're only really good for an Instagram shot. That's pretty much it. And I've taught them before using various techniques, different waxes and going through grades and all that kind of thing. But it's a bit like a leather crafter's hobby. It's something to amuse yourself. But I've made products before and used them myself, and it doesn't last very long. As soon as you put it on a belt with a glass edge, you slide it through the keepers a few times and worn it a few outings. It's still a nice smooth edge, don't get me wrong, but it's not glass-like anymore. If it is, then there's some kind of synthetic over the top of it. But do remember that most glass edges, okay, the trick isn't grades of sandpaper. Isn't the type of Tokonol, Columbus wax that you're using. I tell you what it is. The real secret to glass-like edges is Photoshop. Don't forget that. If you didn't see it on video, it didn't happen, all right? Acetal, Pom C, yes, trade name Delrin, which is similar. A bag that you can use as a backpack, shoulder bag, hip bag, travel purse, etc. It separates, and you can attach the handles and straps and transform the bag. It says Tiago. Cool. Have you tried shoe goo for the edges? I have not. Shoe goo. That's interesting. I'll have to Google that after this live. But thank you very much, guys. The next part is the handle attachments, or the shaps, as they're also known. That'll be going on next to actually attach this little thing, and we can have it further out or further into your taste, as long as it misses that little 250 mile an hour hasp there. So if we have it in its full upright position, where do we want it? So that's what we're looking at next. And if these were down in their minimized position, where would it be? So we want it in there, kind of around there as a minimum. So that's going to be about just over an inch from the edges. Okay, perfect. All right, talking to myself there. I think shoe goo is a glue for shoe repair. I thought it was as well. I have heard of it before. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this live. And sorry for those of you that started out the live originally and there was no sound. I forgot to turn on my mic, which I have as a tusk. All right, so for those brand new to Leathercraft, don't forget to check out leathercraftmasterclass.com. The pop-up will appear and you'll get a free video that you can watch on how to hand stitch. So if you're new to Leathercraft, it's essential that you get that. I think we're almost at 20,000 downloads now. Yes, it is. Skateboarders made it popular because it's very flexible, more like rubber. Okay, so like... yeah, because is it like contact adhesive? I don't know. Phil, I'm not going to read that comment out because people watching this afterwards will hear me say that. I'm not. The reason I chose red walls is because it's adds a contrast. Thanks. Have a great night, says Jason. Aiden says peace. Cheers, guys, and I will see you in the next live. Don't forget to turn on your notifications because I don't actually plan these lives. They're spontaneous. So if you miss it, you miss it. I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Bye.